dreams to reality? I think a very quick question, like how many of you have a dream or have a passion project that you want to pursue? Can you have a quick raise of hands? All of you, right? Great. So it's about a very small story of myself as well. So when we have a dream, we all want to make it a reality. But now, there comes a huge problem. In most of the cases, we find ourselves stuck in a situation when we think that it's not possible for ourselves to achieve the dream, we're not good enough, or the auntie next door is talking about you, or the people are talking behind your back, you don't have that opportunity, you don't have all these resources, right? But let me tell you one simple thing. The biggest obstacle or the hindrance from your dream to your reality is basically you. But there might be a situation where you can ask yourself that, Bhaiya, I don't have the resources. Now, a very prominent TED speaker, Mr. Tony Robbins, once said, if you don't have the resources, it's your problem that you're not resourceful enough. So let's not complain and let's see how we can actually get rid of that thing. So today, I want to talk about a very small framework that actually helped me. Well, 3 years back, I was there passing out of my university and all my friends were having the greatest jobs ever. And there I was, planning to become an online instructor, but don't know what to do. So one fine day, I was lying on the floor, looking at the ceiling, and there was a lizard. And of course, that lizard didn't fell from the ceiling and didn't get back up and hit me with a thunderbolt of inspiration. It was there. And then I was really stuck, like what to do next. I believe in this particular scenario, a lot of people are thinking of getting rid of their dreams. Now, here's a very small framework, like dreams to goals to plans to reality. Let me tell you how it works. In very simple terms, when you have a dream, when you write it down, it becomes a goal. Basically, what you need is a number and a date. Well, it's not a date with the pretty girl that you met in a math class. It's a different date and a different number. For example, I want to revolutionize the education system in Bangladesh. It's a dream. It's not a goal. When I say I want to teach 500,000 students every single day by the end of 2019, that becomes a goal. Basically, you have a date, you have the number, and you write it down. And a very interesting case study that has been done in Harvard MBA students that shows that only 3% among all of us write down their goals. And after 20 years, they have found that those 3% were earning more than the rest 97%. And that's the very first step that we need to take. It's as simple as this, writing down your goal with a very specific pointers. And that is the very point your dream becomes a goal. It's very simple, but I think majority of us haven't really done that. Can I again have a quick raise of hands of how many of you actually wrote down your dreams? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so roughly 10%, right? So rest 90% haven't wrote down their dreams. So the research is right, quite right. I'm not sure about the fact whether or not these 10% of the people would be earning more than the rest of the crowd, but research shows in that way. Now the problem is, when you write down your goals, there are many problems. You might be thinking that it's not possible for you to achieve. You might be thinking that you're not good enough. You might be thinking that dream is too big. But in order for you to write it down, nothing is a hindrance apart from you. Do you get it? It's only you can write it down. If you guys have pen and papers, guys have pen and papers, right? Can we have a quick 15-20 seconds, a moment of courage that we all write our dreams on the paper? Can we all do that? Yes? So do you have your dreams in your mind? So can you write them down? So let's have a 20-second time. I have a timer over here. Let's write them down. Let's just pass the first obstacle and get to the second stage, right? Many of you might be thinking like, what was my dream again? Nudge your friend beside you and ask him like, what was my dream again? I can still see a lot of you are finding it a hard time to write down your dreams. Probably you guys have complained so much that you have already forgotten your dream, right? Okay, right now, have you guys wrote down your dreams? Not everyone. Still writing, still writing. Last 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7. Write them down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Have you written down your goals? Done? So we have crossed the first hurdle. Now we had our dreams. Now we have them as our goals. All right. Now comes the next problem. When you have a goal, say, I will teach 500,000 students by the end of 2019. But how do you do it? It's a goal. It's not a plan. Then what you need to do is to write down a plan. All the videos that I create right now are probably written down a year back or 6 months back or 3 months back. I have an idea. I write down the plan. The problem is we overestimate our memory to a huge extent. We feel like I have a plan, I'll remember that after 2 days. But the problem of motivation is motivation starts you going. It just starts you. It doesn't keep you going. Now that's where the plan comes in. As we say, motivation starts you, discipline keeps you going. But if you don't have a plan, you can't be disciplined. So right now, you need to have a plan. So all of us have written down our dreams, right? Now it has become our goal. And the problem is, how do you make that goal a reality? You need a plan. Now you need to write that down, but it's not possible to write that down in 20 seconds or 1 minute. It'll take probably a day or two. Now here, you need to find out what's holding you back. Why aren't you being able to write down your plans? Don't you have the right expertise? Figure that out. Don't you have the mentors? Don't you have the money? Don't you have the partnerships? Don't you have the peer support? What exact thing that is required that you don't have? Figure that out. Why? Because only that, it becomes a plan. Now, after you have a plan, you have to put in effort. Day in, day out. Day in, day out. And then it becomes a reality. Now, most of the people fall apart in this particular segment. We have our plan ready. But the problem is, we don't want to wake up early, right? We don't feel like studying. We don't feel like going to the next meeting. We're not just feeling productive today, right? What to do? Spiritual, right? So, even, I'll tell you the most interesting problem. The day you'll have 12 hours sleep and you're waking up at 2 p.m., you'll feel the most lethargic yourself ever. You'll feel like going back to your bed after 2 hours, right? That's a problem. We feel lazy. Now, what to do about that? I'm not sure if you've heard about the name called Mel Robbins. She coined the idea of a 5-second rule. What's the rule? 5-second rule. She says, you wake up, you see the alarm, and you're deciding whether to get out or to get more 10 minutes or 15 minutes of sleep, right? So within 5 seconds, your brain tricks you not to go for the hard work and to choose sleep and your comfortable bed. Now she says, within 5 seconds, before your brain tricks you, you get up. So you have 5 seconds. Just 5 seconds. Or else, if you don't work within that 5 seconds, your brain will trick you. For example, I have a brilliant idea. Now I'm thinking, should I make a video about it or not? So if I decide within 5 seconds, I will make a video about it, it'll happen. If I spend more than 5 seconds, my brain will trick me and say all the things that might happen. That people might not like the video. Some people might bully you on social media. People might misunderstand you. And all the negativity strikes me, and I'll stop making that video. So it's just within 5 seconds, taking that leap of faith and actually doing that. Now you have to do that every single day, probably many times a day. So that's one of the tricks that you can actually apply. And for this particular part, from plan to reality, many people have many problems. as I've already said, one of our instructors had the problem. She came to our studio a few times, and 2 out of 3 times, it happened like she isn't feeling productive, and she refused to make videos. It happens to all of us, right? Now, you need to figure out what's your strategies all about. How do you create that 5-second rule for yourself and adjust it to your lifestyle that'll help you get out of that laziness, boredom, or whatever you feel like? You know, we all had superhero movies in our childhood, right? We had villains, right? You want to have your goal, and there are villains. And in your practical life, the villain is basically your daily boredom, the daily laziness that you need to beat. Now, to put it up in a very interesting nutshell, you have a dream, you write it down, right? It becomes a goal. We've already did that, right? Very good. After going tonight, till you have the motivation, you create a plan on how to get that goal to reality. After you have the plan, see that every day so that it gives you a reminder every single morning that you have a task to complete. And after you have that, figure out what are the things that are holding you back every single day. Many of the people might be shy, but they probably want to be a teacher. Now, because of that shyness, you don't want to be a teacher, right? Break that boredom, break that shyness. To be very honest, I speak in different places every day, but I was a very introvert person. I was a very shy person. In the very first presentation that I gave, I was shaking like crazy. Trust me on that. So I know how it feels to have that kind of inertia that holds you back, right? So we need to shrug it off. And just to tell you, after 3 years, from seeing that lizard on the ceiling that didn't fall from the ceiling, I actually made that big dream into a reality. And of course, I had many dreams, and to be very honest, most of them actually failed. But the thing that actually amazes me is that if you don't create that framework, you'll be left with nothing. You won't be pursuing a single dream of yourself. You'll be hiding within your own shell of nervousness and uncertainty. And you have that recipe in yourself, right? This dream is not going to come into reality. Let me just get rid of that and go into a place that's probably more comfortable. So I'll just end with another quote that's very, very much close to me. It actually hit me very hard. It said, most people die at 25, but don't get buried till 75. It means when you're 75, you bury all your dreams, passions, aspirations, and everything that you have. Why? Because you're probably nervous. You probably think it's not going to work out. And you opt for a job that you don't like. You work for a boss, probably want to beat him every single day, right? And for the rest of the life, you basically continue that life that you never wanted to pursue. What it means is, when you actually buried on your dreams, you basically die. And at 25, when you guys graduate, you die. And the rest of the life, it's basically a dead man's life. And at 75, you're just buried, but you actually died back in 25. So I hope it doesn't happen to you. And this very little framework actually helped me to have a lot of my dreams into reality. So actually, I had my dreams to have a lot of awards. And recently, I got an award from the Queen herself. Then, I always used to see that big magazines, Forbes. I recently got enlisted in the Forbes 30 under 30 list for class of 2018. And I also got to take a photograph with my childhood icon, David Beckham. And just to prove that point, I knew when he was there. To take the selfie, I also had a plan. Because in that Buckingham Palace, you're not allowed to take selfies. There's just only one room for the press and media in which you can actually take the selfie. I also had a plan how to take a selfie with David Beckham. And of course, that plan worked out. So always, always have a plan. It's very simple. You have a dream, plan it out, write it down, you have a goal. And then you create a plan, and then it becomes a reality. And after 3.5 years, I get the opportunity to talk to thousands of people to make their dreams come into a reality. So I hope this very simple framework would help you to actually make your dreams into reality. It doesn't matter how big of it or how small of it. Concentrate on it, and please never ever let the auntie next door define what's your next life is going to be. And please Don't die at 25. Live the rest of the life to have an amazing story to tell someday in front of an amazing crowd. Thank you so very much.